too much of your time today. Just know that this class is very open to everybody. So you can ask any question that has been you can ask any question and I'll give you an answer. You can, if there's anything that has been confusing so far during the course of your learning, this is an opportunity for you to also ask questions so that you can gain clarity. If you have a question, you can raise your hand, and if you can't speak now, you can drop the question in the comment section. We'll continue from there. But so far, how has your classes been? What have you enjoyed? What do you need extra guidance on? Let's have a conversation. And the assignment that you guys were given last, was it on Saturday or on Sunday you guys were given an assignment? Whatever day it was, have you guys submitted it? If you have, you can give a reaction. If you can hear me, can you give me a reaction so that no. Okay, Uneka, mark success. If you do, okay, Misoma. All right. Ebube, awesome. So you guys have done your assignments, so I'll try to go through your assignments before the next class. I'm so sorry, I forgot that there was a class today. So let me just use today to answer questions that are related to your learning journey so far. And if you don't have any questions now, that's fine. If you later think of any questions to ask, you can ask during the course of the week on the group chat and you get answers. So for this last week, we're supposed to focus on final projects and career readiness, and I'm supposed to give you reviews on your progress so far and give feedback on things you can maybe focus on and improve on, and possibly give recommendations on maybe tutorial videos you can watch to help you out and stuff like that. Then we're also going to be talking about portfolio building and career guidance on Wednesday. We'll talk about structuring your case study, building your portfolio, UI UX career paths, and freelancing and interviews, how to prepare yourself or get yourself ready. You're going to be exposed to tools like Notion and Behance for the creation of your own website. Some of you can still use Figma to design your websites and partner with a front-end developer to help you, not just a front-end developer, partner with developers to help you bring your portfolio to life, right? So you can do like an exchange of service sort of thing where, especially if you can't have the money to pay the developer, where you will design your portfolio, give it to the person, the developer, to help you build the person would accept building your portfolio in exchange of maybe you designing their portfolio for them too, right? So you can do a trade of service. Then finally on Friday, to close off the program, we're going to be having a final presentation where every one of you would present your work. You would show the full process of your work. You're going to make a presentation on your research, how you went about your research, what you discovered. You're going to make a presentation on your personas. You'd make a presentation of your wireframes, your visuals, your prototype, and if you carried out any testing, like maybe you gave it to your friends or your colleagues to interact with, you're going to be presenting the feedback from the testing that you carried out. And your final assignment for this entire program would be to submit your final project and your portfolio links. So I'm giving you a heads up now in case you haven't gone through the scheme of work, so that it wouldn't take anybody by surprise come Friday, right? And congratulations to the number of you who saw this class through to the end. It's like classes and stuff. And to be fair, online classes are kind of difficult to follow through to the end. So take your flowers. You guys have done great. Well done. So yeah, if you have any questions, raise your hand. Yes, Mark. Mark, you have the floor.
Okay, so good evening, ma. Can you hear me, ma? All right. Okay, so my quick question is regarding wireframing. So like you've not really done much about my wireframing, but like we did learn a few things about it. Like, is you designing the website or the application in black and white with shapes, how it's going to look like when you now work on the main design. So I would like you to throw more light to wireframing.
All right. So yes, Mark, go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
Is that all, Mark?
Yes, that's all for them.
Okay. So wireframes, we have different types of wireframes in design. We have the low fidelity, we have the mid fidelity, and then we have the high fidelity. Low fidelity is what you just described, where you like have the basic sketches down for the products. You haven't inserted colors into it yet. Stuff like that. The design doesn't have life yet, right? That's low fidelity wireframe. Mid fidelity wireframe has to do with you adding a little bit more details to your let me see if I can get an example to show you guys. Mid fidelity wireframe is where you have a little bit more information to display on your a little bit more information of your design to display, and high fidelity is the final look of your design, right? So for low fidelity, it's like just you playing with shapes, showing the placement of your text, of your images, your buttons, your icons, and stuff like that. So you just use shapes to represent them. Mid fidelity, you might now start adding like words to it to show, like, to give you an idea of the maybe the section or the words that will be used, maybe keywords that will be used in each section. And then high fidelity is the final, it's the final look of your product. If you Google it, you're going to see various examples, but let me share my screen with you to show you. What Google is showing me. All right, can you see my screen? You can see my screen. All right. So let me see. We've got a very good example here. So here we have a blog showing the various fidelity types, right? So we have low fidelity. All right, so the link to this article has been sent to the group chat. I'm still going to drop it in the comment section for anyone who wants to explore it well on this. So we have fidelity types. Your low fidelity can look something like this, where you have your screen type, right, and then the whole arrangement within the screen, right? Here they are playing with shapes. They are also like showing the hierarchy of the text, the maybe little bit important text and the least important text, and then icons. They're showing you icon placements on the nav too and stuff like that, right? This can be classified as a low fidelity, and it can also be classified as a mid fidelity because there are words, like readable words and sentences, being used in this display, right? Then we have the high fidelity, which is the final product, what it looks like. You're adding colors, you're adding pictures, you're adding real icons and all of those things, right? Yes, this is a good example of a low fidelity. They are using just shapes, rectangles, circles, squares, lines, and stuff, just to show placement, right? Even for the buttons, they're just showing you the placement. And then this is an example of a mid fidelity. Here they are still using shapes, but they are also using readable sentences, readable words, and they've introduced like minimal colors to the entire design. And then high fidelity, you have your images, you have everything there, right? So that's basically it. Basically. So when you're designing, it's usually advised that you should start by sketching out your low fidelity so that you have a proper idea on how the flow of your screens should go. It's supposed to make your work easier, right? So that when you start adding colors and adding text, you're not going to be confused about where what and what should be placed. You're not going to, you just have a general idea of where this image should be, this header should be, this button should be. No confusion. And when you have your placements in order and you believe that, okay, it's good for your users if you work with this particular placement, you can carry on to create a high fidelity out of it. Does that answer your question? Mr. Mark.
Yes, thank you very much. I got what you said.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
Does anybody
I,
have
I,
any question?
sorry, I want to ask something again.
Okay.
Okay, for the development, I've seen or heard people talk about developing with Framer, like designing with Figma and developing with Framer. How easy is that?
Um, I mean, it's doable. You can design with Figma, develop with Framer. However, I would advise you guys to focus on designing. You are designers, right? Focus on learning the major tool that designers use um, in this field, which is Figma. Um, don't don't try to fly before you can finish learning how to crawl. Yeah. You will later when you've gotten a good hang of using Figma, then you can go to learning Framer rather. Watch tutorial videos on how to use Framer and explore it to the fullest. For now, just focus on Figma. Don't worry yourselves with any other thing. Any other question? But it's doable. Just priority. It's the list of your concern right now.
All right,
Any
thank you
other?
very much.
Are there any other questions? Emmanuel, you have the floor.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
Okay. Sometimes I wonder what is the major difference between fixed width, like we're talking about responsive screen, working with responsive screens, and the adaptability. I want to know like the major difference between fixed width and whole container, and their similarity where they work together in making a screen responsive, because as much as I'm trying to follow or design using those features, I've not really gotten the key difference and their relationship, working together to make screens adaptive and responsive.
Okay. Um. So the the difference between fixed width and fill container, is it fill container or hug contents?
Like fixed with whole container, then few container too, yeah, few container too.
Okay. So we have fixed width. Fixed width is that the container is a particular size, and no matter the length of the contents in that container, the size of the container is not going to be affected, right? It is if you're if the contents within the container is like, let's say 390 pixels, and the size of the container is fixed to a width of 280 pixels, that is it. So it's not going to increase in width, it's not going to reduce in width, it's not going to hog content. If it is a container within a container, it's not going to fill the container either. It's just going to be 280 pixels, no matter what. That is fixed width. And then we have hog content. Sorry. Then we have hub content. Hub content is basically hub content is basically the width of the container is the width of the contents within the container. So if the contents within your container, if the length of the contents within your container is 390 pixels, the container, if it is set to hug content, is going to be 390 pixels. If you set your padding so that you're going to have maybe 20 pixel padding, or 20 pixel by 8 pixel padding, that's 20 pixel on the left and right side, and then 8 pixel on the top and bottom side, then your container is going to adjust. It's not going to be 390 pixels again, because now there's a padding that has been added to it, right? So that's basically hog content, not hog container, hog content. And this comes in handy when you're creating stuff like maybe when you're creating a button and you need it to maintain a specific padding system, irrespective of the length of the contents of the button, because maybe the words that would be used in each button would be different. In some buttons, you're going to find words like continue. In another button, you're going to find maybe a different word like create, right? Or contribute or whatever. So you might want to fix your read setting to hug content after you have created a padding system for the button. So that way, no matter the length of the words within the button, it is maintaining a consistent padding system of maybe 24 pixels or 32 pixels or whatever the padding system might be. As long as that is in place, no matter the length of the words, it's maintaining a padding system because it is hugging content, right? Another place you can find the use for hugging content is when you are creating let me see, when you are creating maybe an input field, you can also find the use of hugging content there, depending on what you're going for. Sure. When you are also creating I don't know. It really depends on what you're going for. That's where the whole use of hug contents can come in. Lastly, I've spoken about fixed with hug content. Lastly, fill container is for when you have an element within a container. So in a lot of cases, this works when you have a fixed width, right? So if the container has a fixed width and you're not sure what of the size that the contents within the container should have, so that it doesn't like go beyond the length of the container and it is not smaller than the length of the container. You have a fixed weight of the container and then you set the contents within the container to fill container. So if your container is set at 390 pixels and you're not sure what the length of your content should be like, right? You're not sure what the size of your content should be like. And you have like a padding system you have put for the container and stuff. You are now going to click on the contents within the container and change the width setting from whatever it might be to fill container. That way, it's going to occupy every inch of the container while still maintaining the padding system you might have placed on that container. Right, let's take an example. So if we look at this, if we look at this, right now, if we check the settings here, W, we can see that it is set to hug content, right? Hug content. Now, what would happen if we made this fixed width and we decide to, let's say, reduce the width to 80? Can you see the width of the container right now? It is very obviously smaller than the overall size or length of the content, right? You can see it's like entering just covering just half of the text that is within the container, right? But let's say we make it to, meanwhile, there's no padding system in place, right? Let's say we make this to hub content. It automatically covers the entire length of the contents within that container. Now, if we say that we want it to fill container, this option is only going to appear because this logo and text is within a container itself. if the logo and text was not within a container, that fill container option is not going to appear. Right, so let's see what will happen when we decide to make this to fill container. It's going to cover the inch, like the length, the entire length within that container that is not occupied, right? So because there's like nothing in here to occupy this entire space, it is covering this entire space. So what will happen if there are multiple things occupying it? The width is gradually going to be reducing. If I delete this and I check the width of this particular stuff again, you can see it has increased. If I delete another one and I check the width, you can see it has increased again, right? So now the only thing that you have to bother yourself with would probably be like the padding system of this container that this logo and text is within. And by padding system, I mean these guys, the distance between this left corner and this logo, the distance between the top and bottom of the container and the contents within it, that's 16 pixels, and the distance between this right corner and the contents that are more towards the right. So if I should set the gap to 24, you're going to see that this one that we've already set the width to fill container adjusts. It adjusts according to the padding and the gap of the container that it is inside, right? So fill container is an option that is only available to you when you have a container or content within a container, right? Hug content and fixed width, they are options that are available to you irrespective of whatever, right? Let me show you what I mean. This search here, now everything that we're doing is within a frame selection, right? So this search here, if we check the width, we're going to have only two options, which are fixed width and hug content. Currently, it is set at fixed width, and the width is 358 pixels. If we change it to hug content, that means it's going to be respecting the padding system that has been put in place, which is the 12 pixels by 10 pixels padding system. It's going to be respecting the gap that has been put in place, which is a 6 pixel gap, and it's going to hug the content. So if we change it from fixed width to hug content, this is what it's going to turn to. It's maintaining the 12 pixel gap on the sides and the 10 pixel gap on the top and bottom, and also 10 pixel padding and 12 pixel padding, and it's also maintaining the 6 pixel gap between the icon and the text, right? But if we want to like make it to be particular with maybe for alignment purpose and stuff, then we can just give it a fixed width, right? Another one use case, so this is obviously on fixed width because it is a container that is standing on its own in a frame selection. It's not within a container, right? And we now look at the contents within this container. we have 4 buttons within this container, and each of the 4 buttons have been set to fill container. So if I should, let's say, delete one button, the rest of the buttons, they are automatically going to adjust their width to fill the container while maintaining the gap that has been set in place. If I should delete another CTA, the rest of the buttons that has been there would adjust their width to fill the space within this 358 pixels container, right? If I should create another button, it will adjust, they'll get smaller. Create another button, it will adjust, they'll get smaller, making room for the extra button that has been created. So this is one use case of fill container. Fill container works hand in hand with fixed width, right? You can only make a content fill a container that is fixed, right? You can't make a content fill container if it is not, if the container is not fixed with. If not, your design will just scatter, right? Does that answer your question, Mr. Emmanuel?
Yes, it answers. It answers. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
And also, I have another question. In creating this um, navigation for mobile app, because it's at the bottom, I tried to recreate the WhatsApp chat section screen, and then under the messages, when you have like number of messages, there's a little number on top of the chat icon. So when I try to group that number with the icon, the arrangement was not the same like it was on WhatsApp. It was changing when I added an auto layout. The the arrangement will be altered and all that. So it will be changing from that top right to become top central and all that once it's in an auto layout. So when you try to readjust it, it will just be moving at intervals without maintaining what you previously or initially set. I don't know whether you understood what I said. So.
Yeah, I understand. So for that situation, you're supposed to give the number that would appear when there are messages. You're supposed to give it, you're supposed to set it to have ultimate. You're supposed to set it to have ultimate position. What do I mean by ultimate position? So let's say that this is a text. No, let me use a real nav. Let's see, we have this guy. And we want to add this text to it, right? So you're saying that it literally just comes down like this instead of staying at the top like you want it to, right? Like it either comes down or goes up instead of just staying at the top somewhere. So what you want to do now is simple. What you want to do now is simple. You're going to click on that number display, that number frame or auto layout, and you're going to see some options on your right panel. Part of the options you're going to see is under position. In fact, it's like literally beside the word position. If you hover on it, you're going to see either ignore auto layout or ultimate position, right? And you click on it. And it's still within the auto layout, but this time you can like position it wherever you need it to be. How you know that something has ultimate position is when you look at the left panel and you can see this four corner stuff that looks weird around your auto layout or your group, then you know that it has ultimate position. So if you want to like set it to, maybe just be in one corner while still within the width and height of that auto layout, you once you have like made it to have ultimate position, you can now like adjust it. You can do Alt D to shift it to the far right corner of that same auto layout. So you don't need to like rack your brain on, oh, um, is this the right, is it hitting the wall of the container or is it extending, stuff like that. So Alt D to move it to the ultimate, to the far right corner, and Alt W to move it to the top corner while still maintaining the far right corner, right? So this way I know that it is hitting the top wall of the container and also hitting the right, far right side of the container, exactly where I want it to be, right? Which, from what I'm looking at, is kind of similar to what WhatsApp does, except that they like leave a little space between their stuff. So if you want to like track the width between the number and the edges of the screen, you know that you just use whilst highlighting or clicking your number container, you're going to hold Alt and put your cursor to be on the container so that you see the gap between that item and the walls of the container. Right. So you want it to appear with like 6 by 6 gap. That's fine. You want it to just really hit the walls, the far end corners of the container. That's fine also. That's okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions? All right. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you have a nice new week and a nice night rest. I'm looking forward to your final presentations this Friday. And if before Friday you have any other questions, please drop them in the group chat. We'll respond to you. Okay. All right. Take care, guys. Have a nice rest.